everyone, Will Brink here, brinkzone.com. Today going to cover an interesting topic on vegetarian produced whey. Now, anyone who knows anything about whey knows, of course, that whey is not a vegetarian protein. It is an animal-based protein derived from milk. So it may seem like a bit of a contradiction in terms, but it's technically not. We're gonna get into the weeds about that. So I'm actually going to do something very rare for me, which is call out a company specifically, which I never do because I don't see any real benefit to it. But in this particular case, I have to, because as far as I know, they're the only company selling it. Maybe there's other company selling V-Whey, which is obviously stands for vegetarian whey. And as always, whey is not a simple topic. There's nothing simple about whey, and that's one of the issues. But before we get into, going down the discussion, the rabbit hole of vegetarian, or I'm just going to call it V-Whey because that's what they're calling it. What's my background on whey? Because anybody can talk about whey or try to talk about whey, but I think I'm not. I will say that I'm not just anybody when it comes to talking about whey. I was the first person to start writing articles about the potential medical health benefits of whey in the 90s, mid 90s, pre-internet. Yes, there was a time when there was no internet. I wrote about the benefits of whey in the various magazines, large publication magazines read by millions of people, Muscle Mag International, Muscle Media, Muscular Development, Life Extension magazine, on and on. I wrote, when people ask me what magazines that I write for back in the day, my response is all of them. And it's not that far from an exaggeration. So, that was because I was reading the literature published by Dr. Bunos, who was really the if we could point to anybody as the sort of godfather of whey as we know it today, it would be Dr. Bunos. Now, whey is a very interesting topic unto itself. I won't go too much into that, but even to this day, in 2022, it's amazing to me how many people still view whey as just a protein replacement, for people in the gym kind of thing who just want added protein, and that is the least of its benefits. Beyond the fact that it is an exceptionally high quality protein in the various measurements of protein, like biological value and NPU and PER and all that. But the benefits of whey, what my interest in it specifically, even then and up till still, is its effects on glutathione and immunity and cancer. There's been studies on HIV, COVID. Whey is probably a real benefit with COVID, and I will link that an article on that below. So whey is not a simple topic. So that's one thing. That's one of my backgrounds. I have done consulting work for some of the largest whey manufacturing companies in the world. I have done product R&D and consulting work for various supplement companies on whey. 30 plus years of researching whey. Okay, so I'm not just your average person, average sort of fitness blog or whatever talking about whey. This is actually one of my specialties. It has been for a long time, and a personal interest. I'm always digging up new studies on various potential benefits of whey, and you can find those on Brinkzone. So that's my background to discuss whey, and I think I am qualified beyond what most people tend to know about whey, which is they've read some articles, or maybe they read one study or something. But beyond that, I consider myself an SME on that topic, and I don't say that about a lot of topics, but that's one of mine. Okay, so let's get to V-Whey. So there's a company that's been marketing a product called V-Whey. I've had a number of people ask me about it and say, Will, what is the deal with this? I've been aware of this stuff for a while because I read their study. I don't know if it's their study, but a study on this protein. And I don't know if they funded it or not, but there was a study at least a year, maybe a few years ago, on this product, which was again interesting. So what is V-Whey? What is vegetarian whey? What they've done is they have gotten bacteria. They have programmed, basically genetically programmed bacteria to produce a subfraction of whey. What does that mean? So whey is a very complex protein made of a bunch of peptide subfractions. Some of them are pretty large, like the one we're going to talk about. Some of them are very small. They almost all of them have biological activity. They're bioactive peptides. They do a lot of really interesting things. The one that has again been of real interest to me again for all this time is lactoferrin, which I will also link an article below. Lactoferrin is truly one of the most interesting and amazing protein peptides that exists. And again, whey is full of really interesting bioactive peptides. However, again, it is not a monolithic protein. When you say whey protein, you are not talking about a protein. You are actually talking about a long list of various protein peptides within whey. It's like saying milk. Milk is sort of a term for a food, right? But it's not just milk. I mean, within milk, you have two major proteins. You've got casein and whey, and you've got water, and you've got fat, and you've got all these things, right? So when you say whey, and a lot of people unfortunately use the term whey mistakenly or at least what they're thinking in their mind is this protein onto itself, and there's whey protein. But again, that's not true, and that's sort of what brings us to V-Whey. So what this company has done is they have programmed bacteria to produce one of the subfractions in whey, beta-lactoglobulin, and that's it. It's not whey. It is a subfraction of whey, and they are marketing it very, very heavily as whey. If you go to their website, there is no discussion other than talking about being a vegetarian whey. I actually got into a debate, I'm going to say nicely, on Twitter with somebody, a vegan, who just kept pushing that this was a vegetarian whey. And I did my best to explain that it's not. It is a subfraction of whey, and it's beta-lac. So this company is going to get themselves in hot water with the FDA at some point. And I'm giving out free advice. I have done consulting work for some of the biggest supplement companies in the world. I'm on the scientific advisory board of one now, and so forth. And I'm going to give them free advice. Change your marketing and your language. Now, I understand why they're doing it, because it's easiest to market and position. It's going to be a little difficult. But when I first heard of it, I knew they weren't. Even when I heard about the study, somebody sent it to me, I guess, said, well, what do you think about this vegetarian produced whey? I knew right away there was no vegetarian produced whey, because you have to basically produce all of those peptides in all the right ratios and so forth. And I knew nobody was doing that, and I don't think anybody ever will. I mean, it would just cost so much. It's not impossible to do. I mean, you could program those bacteria, I guess, to make each and every one of those subfractions. But the cost would probably be like $10,000 a pound or a kilo. I mean, anyway, point being is that it's not whey. They need to change their marketing and their language in their site. I knew this was not going to be whey. I knew something wasn't, didn't pass the smell test for me, and read the study and kind of forgot about it, frankly. And somebody again brought it up on Twitter when I was having this little debate with this person, and they put the website up, and I went and looked. And let me share the screen here. Okay, let me add this guy. Okay, so looking around their website, you really have to dig to find out what they actually are offering, which is not whey. It's beta-lac. And let's see if I can find that. So if you read, there's a section on their page under. You got to go to library, then you got to go to science, then you've got to go to find the page, then you've got to read teaching our mic. So you have to go through this whole long page, and finally, once you get in here, you will finally find the words. Basically, what they are producing is beta-lac and not whey. So, why does this matter? Well, one thing is it's just not accurate marketing. It's false marketing. It's not whey. Why does that really matter? Let me see where the hell is that? I'm telling you, you really have to look. I mean, you got to read this and read it carefully because they really only mention it in, I think, one spot in this entire long, lengthy discussion on how they teach the microflora. They don't teach it, obviously. Now, is this GMO? I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a little borderline. I know they also sort of push it as organic. I don't even know what you would call this at this point. I mean, this is a truly engineered protein here, which is it's a really cool process. I mean, I don't want to be it might be sounding like negative here. I'm just trying to find it so that we can point it out, but frankly, don't care. So for one thing, let's back up a little bit. Actually, I mean, this is a really cool process. It's really neat. Um, it's very expensive stuff. I mean, again, this is really for vegans who just do not want to even obviously use any animal products. And obviously, if you're vegetarian, lacto-ovo vegetarian, you could use whey, drink milk. But if you're vegan and you're strict vegan, you don't want anything to do with animal produced products, but you want technically an animal protein, which is obviously going to be a higher quality protein. There it is. I mean, so I don't want to downgrade it per se. On the positive side, so here's what I want to say about that. Beta-lac is excellent quality protein if someone is just looking for a high quality animal protein that is not produced by animals, but bacteria. Well, actually, bacteria are animals, of course, technically. It's excellent protein quality. I'm not saying anything negative there. Good, excellent post-workout type protein, but it's not whey. And that's what we have to differentiate. Now, again, for whey to have those other properties that I personally find the most interesting as far as its effects on immunity and such, that is actually a bit of a complicated topic. So again, most people don't. Some people are aware that whey boosts glutathione, but they think it's due to the cysteine content, and that's not true. It's not just the cysteine content. You can take, cysteine all day long, and you will not get the same effects on glutathione as you will taking whey. Well, why is that? Well, whey contains something called glutamylcysteine. That's glutamine and cysteine as a dipeptide, which bypasses the rate-limiting step when producing whey. Glutathione. And I'll put another video that actually goes into all that, which I did a video on NAC, N-acetylcysteine versus whey, which will go into that whole pathway as to why whey is superior to NAC, even NAC, much less just cysteine content. Cysteine is the rate-limiting amino acid to glutathione production, but it's a lot more complicated than that. So I'm not going to go too far down that. But so again, whey is the most interesting things that I think about whey in terms of, again, the effects on glutathione, which impact cancer, potential cancer, it detoxes all the chemicals, it deals with viruses and so on and so forth, is much more complicated. And it's not just due to the beta-lac content. In fact, beta-lac is probably the least interesting peptide in whey. It's the most abundant, depending again on how it's produced, time of year, the cows are milked, and so forth. But it's the most allergenic peptide. When people do have a legit allergy to whey, which is rare, by the way, it's an allergenicity of beta-lac, by the way. So it's not the most. It's definitely not the most interesting peptide subfraction in whey. It's actually probably the least interesting peptide in whey, but it is an excellent protein source. If you're looking for a good protein source, all good. If you don't mind spending the extra money, all good. And all that. And props to the company for offering it, but it's not whey. And I was having a really difficult time convincing this one particular vegan fella about that. And he kept saying, well, for all intensive purposes, it's whey. No, It's not. You know, how would you? I don't know what the analogy would be for someone to really understand it. You know, humans, right? Let's use a human analogy. Humans are made up of, you know, a human being is made up of a lot of different parts. Right? Would you, if I, you know, took an eyeball out, would that be a human? No, that's a part of a human. It's not a human. An eyeball is not a human. It's a part of a human, and so forth. I tried all these different analogies with him, and he just, you know, refused to get it because he was suffering cognitive dissonance, which is, I'm going to say it, kind of a vegan specialty, to be honest with you. But that's another topic. I'm gonna cover that. I'm going to cover that topic one of these days. And I wrote a very lengthy article again on vegan dogma, specifically about the various claims of vegans as to why they're vegans, and I'll post that below too. And someday I'll do a whole video on it. But anyway, he just tried to work his way around every possible angle to basically say this is the equivalent of whey, it's whey, you know, yada yada yada. And he's wrong, and the company is wrong. It is not whey. So, in conclusion, if you're not using whey in 2022, you're doing it wrong. I guess unless you're a vegan, but that's another topic. Whey has a whole bunch of potential health benefits, mostly due, but not completely due, but mostly due to its effects on glutathione. But again, for example, lactoferrin has amazing effects as an antibacterial, antiviral. It is part of your first line immune system. It also, what else? Again, I'll post an article. I'll try to post an article below that. And lactoferrin is a tiny a subfraction in terms of amounts in whey. It's under 1%. Even a well-made whey is going to be around 1% ish of lactoferrin, and in some ways are, you know, close to nothing. Peptide size wise, it's actually fairly large. But there's a lactoperoxidase. That's a particular enzyme. Lactoglobulin, alpha-lac. There's a whole bunch of really interesting peptides. Some of which have really not even been fully researched as to what are the bioactives. So if the benefits of whey was just down to its glutathione enhancing properties, it would still be, you know, a no-brainer, frankly. But it's not. There's a whole bunch of really interesting things that go on with whey. Whey also has a variety of, well, I keep saying bioactive peptides. There's a peptide in whey that lowers blood pressure, and so on and so forth. So don't be fooled by this V-Whey product as being whey protein or, you know, identical. It is a identical peptide as far as I know. Frankly, I mean, I'm taking their word for this and their study. But as far as I know, it is the beta-lac component is identical to the cow's version, and it's an excellent quality protein. But you're not ingesting whey. So FYI, and I would recommend strongly to this company to clarify their wording in there. And I understand, again, from their perspective, you know, everybody, they know whey. It's easy to market and position by saying that. But, you know, again, you know, if I called, I don't know, I mean, I could call almond milk whey, or, you know, it's not whey. All right. So that's that. Hopefully, try to keep this one not too long, and let me know if you have any other questions about V-Whey, whey in general. I'll do my best to answer them. Like and subscribe. You know, the usual Rex. I always forget that stuff, which is probably why I don't have as many followers as I probably should. And I'll see you all on the Brink Zone.